And I would come in home and then I wait there till, well, sometimes be at night. And I was taking the plates to the table and help clean up the place when they close up. And I was real young. You know how children love to make money, so I did make me a little change to get me by. But they were some good people.
I used to run a cash register. You know, I was young. I was just probably 8, 9, 10, 11.
In the early 70s, a woman named Mary Screws began working at Cromwell's. She was the great niece of Chicken Comer. Her and Burdell became just like a mother and daughter. They were very close and would cover for each other as they tended to running the family restaurant and raising all their kids. When their kids got old enough, guess where they went to work? Correct, in the barbecue place. All the kids learned to do everything, from cooking the meat to slicing the meat to serving customers, and the customary stacking of barbecue plates all along an outstretched arm. You could get 5 or 6 plates on your arm if you had good balance.
I worked with Mary, and she just really made you feel at home. If you made a mistake, she didn't mind. She didn't make a big deal about it.
No fussing.
It was none of that.
Everybody got along.
Everybody did. I mean, it was so much fun working for her. She made you feel really at home. She may not know you from Adam, but she made you feel really at home.
She was just that friendly type person.
In the late 70s, Mary Screws had 3 kids, triplets. She had 3 boys named Keith, Kenneth, and Keldrick. Possibly due to the 5 kids she now had, in about 1980, Mary and her husband Willie went to a place called the Esquire Lounge in Smith Station, about 14 miles away from the original location, and opened their own barbecue place, selling barbecue from the place that had previously been a nightclub. Willie knew he was taking a chance because it was so far out from Phenix City, where all of his friends and customers lived. Would they follow him to a place that far away? Why would they go way out there when Burdell was still running Cromwell's in the same location in Phenix City? Against those tall odds, the Esquire Lounge was successful, to a point.
So what led you to want to go open your own restaurant?
Because of her way of life, and I thought we could do a better job. We did do a better job.
So how did you come to decide on the place in Smith Station, the Esquire Lounge?
That's why I think I made a mistake up there because there are a lot of people that I knew, and then I thought they would really be afraid, but they wouldn't rough with me to be down here, you know, there in Smith Station. A lot of them were really good friends of mine up in Smith Station. And I went out there about 3 years.
3 years?
Too far out with that type of restaurant.
She decided she had to think bigger, make bigger plans. She had 5 kids.
Great hot dogs in the Esquire Lounge. Yeah, it was just too far to travel for people. You got to think about people who get off work, go to lunch break at 12 o'clock, and got to be back at 1 o'clock. She made money out of the Esquire Lounge, which is shocking. It was too far. It was just too far for her.
As Burdell's health faded in 1982, her children weren't sure whether they wanted to continue the business their mother had run for 14 years. While they contemplated what to do, Willie and Mary decided they had been in Smith Station for long enough, close to 2 years, and moved back into Phenix City, into a location on 10th Avenue, just a few miles from where Chicken Comer had lived. Burdell passed away, and her children eventually just let the cafe close due to tax problems. Willie and Mary called their restaurant Chicken Comer's Barbecue, and all their customers came back, plus all the customers who had been going to Cromwell's. There was some friction when Mary opened her own business and started selling barbecue in Smith Station. There was also friction when Mary moved back into Phenix City. The Cromwell children didn't feel that Mary had the right to run a barbecue business under the Chicken Comer's name. The Cromwell children didn't feel they had been given enough time to ponder their options to continue the family barbecue cafe or not. So in 1982, at the new Chicken Comer's on 10th Avenue, business was booming. Willie and Mary had more business than they knew what to do with. The one problem with the building they had chosen was the limited seating, but most people had been very used to getting the barbecue to go for years, so lots of people continued to pick it up and just eat it at home.
She moved in that building, and instantly, our customers, who was right around the way, you know what I'm saying, from everywhere. I remember seeing the place was small, so it was like a real country, a red sitting booth on where people can sit at. It was really like a real country atmosphere. You come in there and see potato chips on the wall.
But the little one, the little old one, she really did a lot of business there. I don't think anybody could sit in that one much, but they still came and took takeout food. Came from miles around. I was hoping she would do good because this is what she wanted, you know? Because she did good. Yeah. She bought a house and, you know, I said, well,
Customers were real patient because I've seen times when we was really like outsold, no meat done, no meat ready, you know what I'm saying? But a whole line of customers outside and they steady ordering and we telling them, well, it's gonna be 45 minutes to an hour, which it takes if you really cook it. Customers waiting and they took their orders and they faithfully waiting. They're not, you know what I'm saying, arguing or, you know, they're not bickering with each other. They're not like, hey, what's going on? You know, they never were like that. They treated us like we were family for real, you know, like we was.
After several years on 10th Avenue, Willie decided they needed a bigger place with lots of seating and better facilities. So they got a business loan and built a $100,000 brick building, about a block from the 10th Avenue location. They moved in and business continued strong. They operated out of the brick building for about 8 years until 1998. Mary's health faded and she was hospitalized for many months at a time. She left the running of the barbecue place to Willie and her sons. Her family continued to run the business, but without the strict supervision and Mary's discipline in running the place, the little things just didn't get done. In 1998, the sheriff arrived and closed the business down because the sales tax hadn't been paid properly.
She got discouraged, but she never showed a sign of weakness.
There wasn't a Chicken Comer's restaurant for almost 2 years.
People was around the city like, okay, all right, we know y'all closed down, but dang, y'all got to open back up. We got to eat barbecue.
In the year 2000, a man named Ken Burgess approached Mary Screws with an offer to become partners and reopen Chicken Comer's Barbecue. Mary would make the sauce, and Ken would put up money to remodel an old gas station on the corner of Broad and Dillingham Streets and reopen the restaurant. In 2000, Chicken Comer's reopened. One thing that Ken Burgess had also done was form Chicken Comer's Incorporated, created a website to sell the sauce worldwide, and trademarked the name Chicken Comer. Mary had patented the process for making the sauce in the early 1980s. As part of the agreement between Ken and Mary, Ken gained possession of the famous sauce recipe. There are many different versions of the story as to what happened during the year 2000.
When I climbed on the sink, I looked up there, I looked, and I looked, and I looked, and I was like, that is a camera. And I went in the back and saw it hooked up. And I remember thinking to myself, if you got to stoop to that level, when you got to put a camera in there on somebody and make some sauce, maybe it is not for you.
It's obvious that Ken Burgess has a recipe for one version of the Chicken Comer barbecue sauce. Burdell had a version. Mary had a version. There is only one recipe to make the original Chicken Comer's barbecue sauce. It passed with Chicken Comer in 1968.
The man had it right there, and there's nobody that ever copied it.
The business operated on Dillingham for a few years. Then Ken decided to open another location in Columbus, across the river in Georgia. He called the new place Chicken Comer's 2. Employees shuffled back and forth, and both places seemed to be doing a good business. In 2001, Ken sold the Columbus location to Stanley Barker, a local car dealer. Shortly thereafter, due to unpaid taxes, the Dillingham location was shut down, again by a sheriff. Stanley Barker ran Chicken Comer's 2 in Columbus for about 8 months, then sold the business to another car dealer, Carolyn Curitan. She had never been in the restaurant business before, but has owned it ever since 2002, and is still running it today. There was certainly a lot of confusion about the use of the Chicken Comer name and the making of the hot sauce and calling it the original Chicken Comer barbecue sauce. I'm sure it will all be sorted out someday. Carolyn has run the Columbus location for about 3 years now. She has left the place basically the same. She has added a mild version of the sauce and many side dishes like scrambled hot dogs, potato salad, chicken fingers, desserts, and so forth. The sign out front reads the original Chicken Comer's Barbecue. Carolyn runs a clean, efficient restaurant there in Columbus. To me, it's a modernized version of what once was, but maybe that's what it takes these days to be successful in running a restaurant business. After all, it is a business, and you have to be profitable to stay in business. So you do what you can to please the customers, get some more ladies to come in, and just offer variety in the food you serve. In some ways, it's like a full barbecue restaurant, which also offers a version of the original barbecue that Chicken Comer served. It's very good, but whether it's like the original or as good as the original is, of course, is subject to personal opinion. In the old neighborhood, the people who have lived there all their lives sit on the front porch and imagine how it used to be, with all the cars lined up and people walking for blocks to get some good barbecue. It was a different time back then. It was much safer, and you wouldn't think anything about sitting out on the front porch in the evening, even as it got dark. These days, as one resident put it, you'd best be on the inside when it gets dark around here. It's just not safe. Keith Screws talks often about selling the barbecue or putting the sauce on the market so it would be sold in grocery stores.
If I could open Chicken Comas tomorrow, that would be my whole life. I would dedicate my heart, body, and soul to it, make sure it prospered. Because my mom had plenty of opportunities to do that. She just didn't want to do it, y'all. She just didn't want to do that. She didn't want to get big like that because fortune and fame was never important to me. It was more family. She was always family oriented. I would like to show her what she's taught me. I could carry it on forever to my kids.
About 4 or 5 years ago, I found my father. And I remember them calling me to tell me, you know, they got some bad news. You know, could I please come? I had to go see this man, ease his parting some way. He calls me up. He's on his deathbed, right? And I'm already coming, and I get another phone call from them, and I'm thinking, oh God, what now? Can I please go by and bring him some Chicken Comas barbecue sauce if the place is still there? So I went and got it and, you know, toted it on the airplane with me, and the first thing he said, other than, you know, God, I can't believe it's you kind of thing, was, oh God, you've really got it. And he just was excited. He got him some Chicken Comas barbecue sauce, had the nurses bring him some chicken like right then so he could eat it. I took it to him too, and he ate it, and he died right after that, and, you know, joked up until the last minute about his last meal being his Chicken Comas.
Time, everything have changed. Time bring on the change. And I can sit up here on my sister's porch and look down there a lot of evening. We can sit back and just say that we had some good times when the place was open. But now they have turned it into a house and a family live down there. Just altogether different now.
Even now you miss it. There are a lot of copycats. One of the restaurants here sell a sauce that's about 75% Chicken Comas. So I buy the sauce from them, but I can't eat the pork. They even the way they cut up their meat, they cut it up the same way Chicken Comas did here, and they put the sauce on top of it. They still give you the light bread, and they give you a large amount of barbecue, just like Chicken Comas, but it's still not Chicken Comas. You still, those of us that like I said, grew up around them, like I did in the 60s, all the way up to when Mary Ann had the business, you got hooked on that taste, that smoke taste that was in it.
That's been in place. And you always pick up a taste bud for it. Once you taste it, you got to come back. Right.
I have had it in Columbus, and it's close, but it's no cigar, but it's good. And when they opened up the Chicken Comas here on Dillingham Street, it was close. The sauce is real close to it. It just is not the same.
Right.
It may be the way they slice it, or how can a Boston butt be different? But it might be a different kind of Boston butt. I don't know. Same. I mean, it never did get to be the same as it was out there in the old place. Maybe it was the sacred barbecue grounds. I do think so. And it could very well be. I don't know. I know it was not the same. And we ate. I mean, we still went out there and ate because we loved the sauce, but it never was the same.
Right.
Not after he died. He just had the magic touch, didn't he?
This guy I was working with, he used to buy me a plate every Saturday, and he would just pile it up with meat, and oh God, I just ate. It was good.
If Chick was here now, I tell you how we ate meat, hot sauce. As the song said, light bread. It was really nice. But those days are gone. A lot of people say that Chicken Comas up here on off of Veteran Parkway, say it's just like Chick, but still no, something is missing. You know, it's nice. Don't get me wrong, it's nice, but nobody never barbecue like Chicken Comas. It's not the same. It's not, and the sauce that they have is watery. It's not thick. We had some good times in there eating them skins. It was just good. It was something. It was good while it lasted. Yes, it was. So many people. If they could call back time.
But it's kind of weird having hot dogs and sandwiches and stuff. I think when the Screws moved into that bigger building in Phenix City, that was the end for the Phenix City chicken combers. You know, when they started selling hamburgers and hot dogs, selling art and all kinds of weird stuff instead of just chicken combers barbecue, I think that was one of the downfalls. But they should have just stuck with barbecue and sweet tea, and you know, and stayed in one of those little old buildings with red checkered tablecloths. That was what was good. You can tell the people from Phenix City when they go into that place in Columbus, because they just, you know, they get a $5 plate or a $6 plate. They don't get a sandwich. They don't get ribs. I mean, ribs on the door. I mean, that $3.50 plate, $4.50 plate. That's where it's at. I mean, just plate of chicken combers, white bread, sweet tea. You know, they've kind of gotten away from that. They should have stayed in the old little building. That was what was best.
As I think back on how it used to be, I miss the old place. After all these interviews and doing all this research, I'm still at a loss when I try to describe what it is that made the old cafe so unique and special. It certainly was chicken comber, but it probably has something to do with the simplicity of serving meat, sauce, bread, and maybe some sweet tea, and getting away with it. He could do that because it was just so darn good. In discussing all the incarnations of Chicken Comer's barbecue that have existed since 1968, when Chick died, I asked James Stafford, who cooked there for many years during the 60s and 70s, what he wished had happened. Was it better to have the Chicken Comer's name carried on, or would it have been better just to let it go and not have any cafe with the name Chicken Comer? If it's not Chicken Comer running it, then don't call it Chicken Comer's Barbecue. James said it would be best just to let it go. He's gone, so his name should be gone, out of respect for Chicken Comer.
I have a call from Michael Mathews regarding Chicken Comer Barbecue. I got some questions. I got a good interview for you if you want. Just kidding, it's Jason.
Guy was Andy Weistrack. He's originally from Los Angeles, California, played football with Gary Beeman at UCLA. And big old guy, big strapping guy, you know. And so we pull up in front of the place, and he looks, he said, "We're not going to eat here." "Yeah? No, we're not going to eat here." "We're going to eat here." So we get out and we go in. And this is after integration. So we sat over on the right-hand side, which would have been the old colored side, and sat down in one of the church pews. We ordered the biggest plate they had, which I think back then was about a $4 plate, $3 or $4. And Lynn and myself ordered, and he